Hey you guys, I want to make a video about how to tell your partner no to sex because you may not always be in the mood. And traditionally, it's the man that wants more sex and the woman who wants less. So I'm going to portray this video from that point of view. Now, let's start from the lady's point of view. A lady is typically wants to talk more, especially about her feelings and about her day, and just like chatter more, I guess. I make these YouTube videos because I like to talk and I like to share things. And if I were to go up to my husband or my boyfriend and tell him something exciting I've read or I've discovered, and he were to say, "No, I'm busy now, don't bother me," that would hurt my feelings. In the same way, it hurts his feelings when he's told no to sex. Sex is a form of affection. Now, if your guy is just using you to get off, he's a terrible lover, that's a different thing. But still, it does hurt his feelings. He may not know he's a terrible lover, so that's where some conversations can be had. But let's go back to that. In a relationship, it's so important to think about how people feel. That's why I speak about being kind. Sorry, that's my trash. Am I being kind to this person in the way that I'm expressing myself? For example, if I go up to my boyfriend and, well, I know how to read the room really well. I wouldn't just interrupt him while he's reading. I would wait till he's done reading and then I'd say, hey, let's say he's just doing the dishes. And I say, hey, there's something I really want to tell you. I'm so excited to tell you this. And he might be doing the dishes, but he's thinking about his project at work, and right now he doesn't want to hear it. He could, instead of just saying, no, not now, which would be mean, he could say, I can't wait to hear it. Can we talk about it later? Sure, absolutely. And that's the same thing. We have to think telling a man no to sex is like telling a woman no to expressing her feelings, sharing her thoughts, or just giving you a hug. What if I were to walk up behind him and give him a hug and he would be like, why are you doing that? Get away from me. I'd be like, whoa, you don't want me to touch you? Okay, but that wasn't very nice. And it's the same way telling a man no to sex. So here are some things to think about. Why am I telling him no to sex? Just stay with yourself now. Don't think about him for a moment. What are the reasons I tell him no to sex? And I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of reasons I can think of, besides a woman who was sexually abused who doesn't want sex. Let's rule that out. Or a woman who lost her sex drive, maybe after menopause, or she's not feeling well. That could be another reason. Maybe she is undergoing some kind of medical treatment like health. She's not feeling well. She's not going to want to have sex if she's not feeling well. She's maybe going through chemo, or she just had a tooth pulled, or she has a urinary tract infection, or she's on her period, or she just got done nursing the babies and she's all done being touched and she just doesn't want to be touched right now. Maybe she's just tired, or maybe he's just a bad lover and sex with him is just another pain in the ass thing to go through, like pulling weeds, or getting a root canal. Like, it hurts. He's not very good. He's not very attentive. He sucks in bed. He's kind of gropey. And maybe he only gives me attention when he wants sex. The rest of the time he ignores me, so he just uses me to get off. Maybe I'm still mad at him about that thing we were doing about talking about the kitchen remodel, or the way he yelled at our daughter. I'm still kind of mad about that. All these reasons. A guy is not going to be turned off by any of those reasons. He's going to see your cute little body and he's going to be like, let's go for it. Doesn't give a shit about the argument earlier, or the stress of the day, or the kids were just tussling all over him. So they're very different, but it comes from their feeling level that they want to connect. So saying no to a connection with someone has to be handled very delicately. If someone is seeking a connection if someone that you're in a relationship with that you value is seeking a connection, I'm a big believer in nurturing the relationship, and how I handle that has to be done kindly. So if I don't want to connect with that person, why? Do I just need some space right now? Or do I not like that person near me? And then, I'm going to want to communicate that. Um, you know, it just, I can't really give generic advice on each different thing, but here's the thing. If you care about the relationship and you're just not in the mood right now to connect with that person in a physical way, there's a kind way to say it, which is, I really love you. You're the sexiest man alive, and I love having sex with you. And right now, I don't want to. And that often can make the man feel really like, I'm good. He just wants to feel loved and appreciated rather than being told, no, get the fuck away from me. So it's how we say it. And I think if people get to the point where they don't want their partner near them, it's like, okay, why don't I want to have sex with this person? And then to have like a real conversation. Hey, can we sit down and talk about this? I haven't really been honest with you. I've been pretending that I like sex with you, and I haven't liked it for a really long time. I didn't want to hurt your feelings, and I would like to create it in a way that's enjoyable for both of us. And then see what he has to say, and see what you can discover about how to make it more enjoyable and what you need. Most women are going to need a lot of connection. Most women do not want their husband to just use them for sex and never touch them or give them affection any other time. Most women are going to need affectionate connection throughout the day leading up to sex. We are not going to get all wet seeing your erect penis. Unless maybe it's a new relationship. It's going to be like, now what does this hard dick want from me now? Doesn't feel good. So you might have to teach your man how women are and get in touch with what you need. There's a gentleman called Sting, a singer, who talks about 24-hour sex. And it doesn't mean they have sex for 24 hours. It means he sets the stage 24 hours before, or 12 hours before. Like in the morning, he kisses his wife on the cheek and he brings her coffee. And, at noon, maybe he just grabs her ass a little bit and brings her tea and tells her how beautiful she is. And, it's like this little dance. And when I've talked to women who have like a very active sex life with their husbands, they talk about how there's this sexual flirtation going on throughout the day that keeps her excited and looking forward. Like he playfully teasing, like little sexual touches and talks. It doesn't have to be constant, but when you're walking by at the sink, just brush your lower back or brush your ass, or, just grab her and give her a kiss and tell her she's beautiful. That's what a woman's going to need to be primed for when you want sex with her. And a lot of men don't know that. So if guys are listening, pay attention here too. So a guy can come home from work and be tired and still want sex, and a woman is going to be like, well, I see the dishes, I see this, the kids are still running around. And he's like, don't worry, they can get very single focused, whereas we have more things that we feel responsible for. So like, what is it that you need? Definitely affection from the man that is not just sexual is what we need. And even for me as a bookkeeper, or when I was hooking up with guys, I would only be receptive to them if they were kind to me already before in a non-sexual way. I call it maybe, you can call it priming the pump, I guess. So, and then also being aware of during sex what kind of touch you like. A lot of men are very gropey. They have no idea what they're doing. I'm constantly teaching my clients about how to touch a woman, what feels good. And different women like different things. I used to be so worried about offending a guy. What I found though is that if a man is told this is how I like to be touched, if he's pouty, that's his problem. Because the men that I've been around, that I've taught them, they're very appreciative. They find it a turn on to be with a woman who is comfortable with her body and who can express what she wants. This is what I like. This is what I like. If telling a man what you like makes him feel threatened, then, that's kind of a conversation to help him figure out maybe why he feels threatened. That's his stuff. And if you don't feel safe telling him, I don't know, that could be your stuff. I don't feel safe expressing myself because I'm still programmed to think expressing myself will result in punishment, loss of love. I will be rejected. I will be yelled at. So sometimes there's some internal work that we have to do as women to feel safe to express ourselves. And that's work that I've had to do. I think all of us have to do. All of us have to work on expressing ourselves because as children, we weren't allowed to. So our subconscious is kind of programmed to kind of go along with things. We haven't always exercised that self-expression muscle. Now, self-expressing is not the same as raging, which is a reactivity thing that people do when they're angry. They'll just rage. That's not expressing. That's a trauma reaction. I am talking about healthy self-expression. I would like us to have regular dates. I would like to connect with you and have affection with you that isn't sexual. When we have sex together, I would love it if you would just start with a massage. Is there something you would like? Or this is something I'd like to try. What is something you'd like to try? It's kind of lean in and build some connection and build some intimacy and ask for what you want. And maybe just start with the little thing. I would love it, before we have sex, I would love it if you would just rub my feet. Just see what the person says. Don't go right to the most intimate things that seem very vulnerable. And then you can kind of, I think the way that people can keep their relationship alive is by taking those risks of getting out of your comfort zone and discovering those new parts of yourselves. We can always discover new parts of ourselves and then share certain things with the person we're with, because I'm not the same today as I was yesterday. We're always changing and growing. And that as I change and grow, what I bring to my partner changes and grows. So the relationship is not always the same unless I choose to keep myself trapped by not speaking up and doing things the same way, because it's scary to bring some kind of a desire or request to someone where there's so much at stake in a relationship. But that's where the magic happens. I think there's a saying, I don't know, this is my second time making this video. I don't know if I think I said it on the first video. There's a saying that when it comes to sex, that men need an opportunity and women need a reason. And early in a relationship, the reason for a woman is clear, we're more turned on by the guy. But later on, the reason to me is to connect with my partner and to nurture my relationship. And it ends up being fun and making us feel closer. That's the reason. There's another saying that's men use sex to feel loved, and women need to feel loved to want sex. And that's where the 12-hour foreplay thing kind of comes in. It's hold her hand. Guys, if you're listening, hold her hand. Ask her out on dates. Tell her she's beautiful. grab her in non-sexual ways. Don't just use her as like a sex object. Make her feel desired as a person for her interests, her ideas, for all of who she is, so that she's seen as a full person. Women want to be seen as a full person before we want to share our bodies with you. So anyway, when it comes to telling somebody no, if it's just someone I don't know that's contacting me on social media, I just say no, and I don't give a reason. If it's a friend asking me a favor, I might say, I can't do that, and this is why. I will give my reason. And if one of my friends is upset, or my kids are upset, which, well, they really usually aren't, but I always when I'm in a relationship with someone, I key into how they're going to feel. So I express my boundary in a kind way because I care how you feel and I care about the relationship. So, and I think telling someone no to sex is a very delicate thing. It's kind of like if I were to ask my husband to, like, okay, say that you want your husband to go down on you. And he's like, hey, will you go down on me? And he's like, no. Oh my God, that would be so horrifying. It's like, why? Doesn't it look good down there? Wait, you don't like how it smells? You don't like how it looks? You don't like it? And that's how a man feels, I think, when we tell him no to sex. Like, don't you like my cock? Don't you like me? What's wrong with me? I feel so rejected. People feel so rejected. And the problem is they don't know that they're rejected if they're not self-aware. Someone self-aware might be like, I feel really rejected right now. And then they would say that. But if they're not even saying it, or they don't even know it, typically what they do, they're going to get passive aggressive. They're going to shut down. They're going to get walled off. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to be hurt. They won't know why, but they're going to get you back. And so it's just like, okay, start being aware of how you feel in your relationship and express that to your partner. And hopefully that's safe. If it isn't, get some books around expressing your feelings, or I don't know, maybe books like this. One of my good friends recommended this book to me. I still haven't read it. It's Nonviolent Communication, and it's what they practice at the cuddle parties to learn communication. Oh yeah, it's like you share something and then you listen back. This is what I heard you say. Did I hear you correctly? Because if I want you to care how I feel, I have to care how you feel. And this book has really good ways of doing it, because listening to someone's feelings can be very triggering, especially if their feelings are about you. Can be like, whoa, this feels really triggering and I have to listen to this. So this is where the exciting stuff comes from. And I think all of us can improve our relationships. I myself would have trouble with this. If someone was like, this would be hard for me too. I'm not saying this is easy stuff, but I think it's so rewarding. And it kind of goes along with being kind to ourselves and kind to other people and expecting other people to be kind to us. And in the topic of sexuality or expressing our feelings, these are very delicate areas that I think have to be nurtured. And that's why I don't believe in, I'm just going to brush off what these people are saying. Are we really brushing it off? If we have good boundaries, we can just be like, okay, that's that person's opinion. I don't have to take that in. That's where boundaries come in. And that's where I have to do some better work too, because I tend to take things a little personally. And one of the things that I want to learn about is having better boundaries, to be like, well, sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't. Where I'm like, oh, that's just that person's opinion. That doesn't have anything to do with me. And that's a practice also. But it's harder to do in sometimes, because we're not perfect. We're all still learning and growing. Thank you so much for watching my video. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday.